So we're here with Henry Washington from Arkansas. We're really excited about this interview because I think we like podcasting because we like asking the hard questions. So we're putting you on the spot, and hopefully we can get some good nuggets out of this conversation. So first of all, we always start off like, how long you been an entrepreneur? Like, what did you do in the past to kind of inspire people?
Yeah, man. I've been doing this. I've been an investor for 4 years, just about 4 years. Bought my first property in late 2017. And my corporate gig was I was in IT. So I did data analytics and software development for Walmart out here in Arkansas. So I was in their IT department for some years and then moved into the real estate department, but still doing data analytics and software development, but just for the real estate department.
For Walmart's real estate department?
Walmart's got the largest real estate. If Walmart's real estate department was its own company, it would be the second largest real estate company in the world.
Dude, so what happens in that? Like, what are the day-to-days? Are they just looking for like new build opportunities or what?
All that, yeah, man. So they're looking for new places to build. They're looking at existing sites and how can they monetize those sites. You know, they don't just own stores; they own shopping centers and rent the tenant spaces. Man, they're landlords too.
Really?
Yeah, man. It's a big deal.
So, I always like answering this question up front. Have you always had the entrepreneurship bug, or has it been something you kind of hit when you hit a certain stage in life? How'd that come about?
Yeah, man. I like to tell people the seed was planted within me from an early age. So my pops was a high school art teacher for his day job, his career. But we know teacher salaries aren't great. And so he always had a side hustle. He used to pot plants at home, like grow plants and then pot them and then go to the swap meet and sell them at the swap meet. I don't know if y'all know what the swap meet is, but
yep.
They don't really have them anymore. But so he used to do that. And then he had an arcade. So like back when back in the day, you used to have to leave your house to go somewhere that had video games and you play them in that place, right? It's not like it is now. And so he used to own an arcade. And so he had video games and people would come play them. And then he had a vending machine business at one point, and then he owned a barbecue restaurant for about 10 years while I was growing up. So he always had a side gig, but he never talked to me about like entrepreneurship or having my own business. He always told me, go to school, get your education, go get the corporate gig, work the 9 to 5, and then retire. That was always what it. So we never talked about it. I just saw him do it. And so I just like to tell people that planted the seed in me, even though I didn't ever intend on being one myself. And then when it was time for me to do it, I just knew I could because I'd seen him do it all those years.
It's already in the blood.
Yeah, man.
That's awesome. That's awesome. What I really, so you're out of Arkansas. Tell us a little bit about what you've been doing. What are you doing in real estate? How many units you own? What you got for single families, apartments, houses, land?
Yeah, I go for so I'm in Northwest Arkansas, and I've got about 70 units, somewhere between 68 and 70, fluctuating. And yeah, so I mainly, if I had to pick a niche, if you're going to pin me down, I'll tell you I'm a buy and hold investor. But at its core, man, I'm just a deal finder. I learned early on that people struggle to find good deals and people always want to buy good deals. So if I could solve that problem by being able to find good deals, I'd always have a way to make money. And so I just find good deals and I keep the ones I love and I sell the rest, man. And so you asked what I like to buy. My portfolio mainly consists of, my largest building is a 12 unit. I've got a 12 unit, an 8 unit, 5 unit, a 4 unit, a 3 unit, and a bunch of duplexes. So, dude, and then some singles, right? And I got several singles as well. And so, yeah, man, for me, I like small multis. I'm not opposed to buying a big multi, but I really like the small multi game. And so, yeah, I just find deals, man. And so like, do I buy land or I buy it all. If it's a good deal and I can evaluate that deal, I'm buying it. I'll figure out a way to make money on it. So I just bought 3 acres what about 3 weeks ago. I just bought 3 acres. It's got an old trailer on it that somebody's living in, and I bought it for 15 grand, and I know I can sell it for 65 or 70. So I bought it, and I'm gonna tear the trailer down and sell the land. And it was just a good deal. I don't typically do land investing, but I knew it was a good deal, so I bought it.
Dude,
That's
so
awesome.
70 doors, man, that's crazy. So me, I'm a marketer, I have a marketing background. So I only got into real estate because I understand how to find deals. So
Mhm.
I have to ask you, man, like what's your primary method of finding deals? 70 properties is a lot, dude. What'd you do to
You probably
accumulate those
you being a marketer and how old are you?
40?
Oh, we're the same age. Okay, maybe not.
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
gonna say you being a marketer. I'm direct mail, man. That's what I mostly find my deals. I don't do nothing fancy. Like I've got a website that I do some Google AdWords on from time to time. I'm not running any Google AdWords campaigns right now though, and I just can consistently and relentlessly send mail.
Do you know, I really love the mail model. The only mailing campaign I've ever done, I have a commercial roofing company. While I'm not practicing anymore, I've done like 2 repairs this year, right? I'm full time
Hmm.
real estate now. But the only mailing campaign I ever did, I don't do anything small. So my first pull for data for real estate was 500,000 records. That's the first time I pulled data, and I RVM'd all of it, dude. So the very first time I did a mailing campaign, I ordered 20,000 door hangers, and
Yeah.
I got 0 deals off that, man. 0.
Yeah. Door hangers, man. Who'd you have go hang them?
It was a company, man. It was a service, so they printed them and everything. And so I was like, man, for sure, I'm gonna get mega rich right now. It was every bit of like, man, it's probably $12,000 or something, and I got 0 deals.
Yeah.
So I never got into mailing when I got into real estate. I didn't hit that. I hit my stride in other areas.
Yeah.
But I'm fascinated by mailers. I think mailers are going to stand the test of time. I think like when it's all said and done and the regulations come down on calling and RVMs and texting and everybody gets hit hard, I think mailers is going to be the game, man. So that's dope that you said that you're doing good in that. That's crazy, man.
That-
Congratulations.
That's exactly what I tell people. I'm like, you can call me real estate old school, but it's all going to come right back to mail
Fundamentals,
because
bro.
these regulations are going to hurt people. Um, and if you don't have the fundamentals, man, and it's going to take you a while to develop that muscle. Because mail, like when I heard you talk about what you did, I'm like, yeah, no, you didn't get a deal. It's because you only touch people one time. It takes more than that,
Yeah,
right?
over and over again.
And the beauty of the marketing strategies you talked about, which was the RVM, ringless voicemail, and the text messaging, is it's easy to touch somebody multiple times. And
Yep.
so you can get to that deal quicker because you can get to your touches quicker. Right. With mail, it takes time. You gotta have somebody gotta print the mail and put the stamp on it, put it in the mail. It takes a few days to get there, and then they might throw it away the first time, right? So it takes time to get touches with mail, but that's why when he asked me what I do, I said I relentlessly and consistently mail. I don't worry about if it's bringing me a deal. I know it's going to bring me deals. So I don't let the number of deals I'm getting stop me from the amount of mail that I send because I know you just have it's a money machine, right? You put money in your marketing machine on the front side, and then you get deals, and those deals produce results, and those results are cash flow or sales from a flip or something, right? So I'm not worried about turning that off. I'm trying to figure out how can I spend more? How can I send more mail?
I love that, man. I love that in marketing. Like, how can I still stick more money into this thing? And then you obviously the results you have,
Yeah.
it's working out amazing for you, man. So are you always going to stick with that? Or are you ever going to branch out? Or are you just going to just stick to what's working?
No, man. I mean, I think I've had this conversation like 3 times in the past few days
It's old school.
in different forms about different things, but it's all the same message. So we had this conversation yesterday on a podcast I was on, but we were talking about rehabbing houses. And then I was talking to my students about this the other day, and we were talking about marketing. But it's all the same, right? So your question was, am I going to do this, or am I going to change and do something else at some point? And what I tell people is, you take what the market gives you, right? And so the market responds to mail. It's always responded to mail. It has never not responded to mail. People will tell you they send mail and it doesn't work. And that's usually because they didn't do some part of it correctly, right? That doesn't mean it doesn't work. It means you didn't do it right. Either you didn't spend enough to send enough mail, or you didn't consistently mail and hit people enough times to get a deal, right? Or you sent mail that somebody that didn't appeal to somebody and they keep tossing it, right? There's some part of that equation that you didn't do correctly. And that's why it doesn't work. But the concept of sending mail to get deals has worked for decades. It hasn't stopped. It's not going to stop, right? And so I will take what the market gives me. So the market responds to mail. That's great. The market is responding to, like we talked about, flips. The market right now it's so hot that I don't have to rehab a property like HGTV style in order for somebody to pay top dollar for it. So I don't do that. The market's allowing me to spend less on rehabs and put more in my pocket for less work. And so that's what I take. If it were 5 years ago, there's no way I could just buy a house, clean out the stuff, and then sell it for top market value. I'd have to sell it for under market value, right? But you take what the market gives you. And so these people doing ringless voicemail and text messaging, that's awesome. It works. And when it doesn't, you got to do something else. So for me, I'm gonna do mail until the market tells me I can't do it anymore, and then I'll shift.
So we do a lot of PPC, and we tried cold calling and texting, and it's just like we got the best results with PPC, so that's what we stick to. So we just do PPC, and like
PPC is great, man.
I own a data skip tracing company, and we don't even use it for that. It's just like, we do PPC. I'm like, it is what it is. No hard feelings. So 70 units in 4 years, that is not a light thing, easy thing to do. Can't even find the word, but it's not an easy thing to do. What has been the easy, what is the thing that accelerated you to get so many units so fast?
So aside from the marketing that we just talked about, because you can't scale unless you have deals to buy, is leveraging small bank financing. And so, right, the two things that hold people up from buying rental properties and then scaling their rental property business or any type of real estate business is finding the deals, paying for the deals, right? If you had an unlimited way to find deals and you had an unlimited source of money, what would you do? You buy every dang thing you could get your hands on, right? Like, and so that's kind of how I scaled, man. And so the two things that helped me scale the most were when I first got started, I had a partner that we 50-50'd on. And so at that time, I was using small bank loans, but I was having to bring 15 to 20% down payments. And so when you're 50-50, if I have to bring a $20,000 down payment, that only becomes 10 when you're partnering. And so my money went further partnering on some of those deals. So I own about 25 doors that are 50-50. And then the other thing that I did was as I bought those deals with that partner, I was creating relationships with these banks, these small local banks, and starting to understand how they did business and what types of loan products they had, and really started building relationships, and then started to use these banks as tools in my tool belt in order to get deals done, and use them really kind of like playing them against each other is the wrong term, but that's essentially what I did. It's I wish there was a better term to describe it, but each bank, the terms can be a little different because they're small and they're local, which means they have a local board of investors who kind of give the thumbs up or thumbs down on whether they're going to lend to somebody for a real estate deal or a new business venture or whatever it might be. And so because they're small and local and flexible with their terms, because they keep their loans in-house. Big banks, when you go apply for a loan, the first thing they do after you close on that loan is they sell it.
Yep.
Right? They sell it to Fannie or Freddie, and that's how they make the money. The small banks, they don't sell them, they keep them. They're making money on the interest. That's what they want. So they need small local investors or business people to take out those loans, right? That's how they stay in business. That's how they make their money. And so as I started to learn that, I started to find different banks to work with. And as I started to find different banks to work with, they saw that I was doing good deals. I was making money. I always keep track of the deals that I do. I have like a portfolio that shows here's all the deals I've done. Here's what I paid for them. Here's what I renovated them for. Here's what I dispositioned them for. Right. And so when I do a deal, I have the way I knew I was onto something is the bank called me one day and they said, "Hey, I heard you bought this 8-unit building." And I was like, "Yeah." And they were like, "Well, why didn't you bring that to us?" And I was like, "Well, the other bank said they would give me 10% down, right? Because that's just what my mind was. It was less money down." And they were like, "Well, we could probably do that for you." And I was like, "Well, if you can match, what's the point? All right, I'm already there." And they were like, "Well, what do we got to do so you bring the deal to us?" And then I was like, "Oh, light bulb! Like they need this." So I said, "You find me a way to buy deals without having to use my money, and I'll bring you every deal I got." And so now I have a bank that loans to me 100% financed, and so I can scale quickly because I don't have financing in the way of buying deals.
That's powerful. That is a huge hack. That's awesome. Man, that's interesting.
And everybody can do it. Like people hear me talk about this and they think, well, it's just this one-off thing that he got lucky and found. It's relationships.
Yeah.
Right. These small local banks are all in similar positions, right? So you got to go build the relationships, and you can't be afraid to tell people what you want, right? Yeah. When they said, "How do we get your business?" I said, "I don't want to spend any money. You make it so I don't have to use my money, and we'll work it out." Right. And so she went and she worked out a scenario that would work out for everybody. And so I get it. Anybody can do that.
So let me ask this. Did you have to come up with like financial statements and all that stuff, show your net worth and all that stuff to build that relationship? So you show something, or was it enough to show your portfolio of what you bought and sold in the past? Was that enough?
Yeah. So anytime you start a new banking relationship, you're going to have to give your financial statements and they want to see your bank statements. Like, so it's typically one time on the front side. So every time I do a deal, I don't have to show that. It's just anytime I start a new banking relationship. So I have about 3 banks that I work with right now. And so I don't need to give that to them every time I do a deal. But if I were to want to work with a new bank, they're going to want those things.
Gotcha. So I think a lot of people misunderstand that, because like some people, they're afraid to even produce those documents just because they might not even understand what that means.
Right. Yeah. So and that's exactly why I have a course about how to finance deals with little to no money with small banks, and that's 100% why I built that course, because I had the same fears, right? And then Anthony's got a camera, so I can't tell, but I'm a minority, right? You look like you might be a minority, right?
We're all minorities here. You look
passable. You look passable. No, but like you could, but we don't always have an education from somebody in our family who teaches us like how to walk into a bank, right, and speak to people who you're trying to borrow money from. Yep. Like I was terrified of that, right? I was like, because I never asked somebody for that kind of money before. I didn't always have great credit, and so like I had to learn how to do that, and then I had to unlearn that they were doing me a favor, and relearn that I was keeping them in business. They don't eat without me. Right. And so I stopped walking into banks and talking to lenders as if, "Please, sir, I have a deal. Would you be so kind as to give me a few dollars so that I can?" No, they need that. I call banks and I say, "Hey, this is Henry. I'm a real estate investor in Northwest Arkansas here. I've got 70 rental doors. I'm buying about 5 or 6 deals a month. And I've got this deal, 123 Main Street, under contract. I want to see if you can provide a commercial construction loan. I'm looking for 4.5 to 4% interest on a 20-year amortization. I want to bring 15% or less down to the table. Is that something you can do for me?" Right? Like I speak with what I want and with confidence because they are providing a service. Now the ball's in your court. You go tell me if you can provide that service or not. If you can't, that's fine. I'll go somewhere else. But they're so used to people coming to them with hat in hand. That's not how it works for me.
That's awesome.
Dude, that's dope, leveraging the bank. So I'll tell you, that's exactly where I am in my career right now. So everything that we've done so far has been like self-funded through seller finance, creative, sub-2. That's been our focus for the last 3 years. Yep. And then this last deal, we took down a 1.1 million ranch, some upwards of like 700 in profit. And that was like a private money. But now I'm thinking like if we are going to scale this thing like we plan to, we are going to have to talk to some banks. So I have gone and I talked to a couple local banks just to kind of see what's up. And I'm finding that land is a little less appealing to banks, man. So just even if you haven't played in that space too much, what would you do if you were me? Like, how would you try to source a local bank that's willing to play that game?
The land game?
Yeah.
You have it under contract already?
No, we have several that we're negotiating right now, but yeah, I'm just trying to figure out like, how could we approach a bank with that? Like if that's kind of like sometimes out of their wheelhouse.
So they'll do land deals. Most banks will do land deals. Their concern is that that you're buying a good deal, right? And so that it doesn't matter land or real estate, but with real estate, they're a whole lot more with a physical asset on the property. They're a whole lot more confident in the deal because there's more buyers for that. So these, like I said, the small local banks, they want to know you're buying a good deal. So if I buy a house worth 200,000 and I'm paying 75 for it, right? They know, they're like, well, if he forecloses, if he don't want to pay his loan, we'll take the house back at 75, and we know we can sell it for 150. We'll make way more money off that than we will if he actually just pays the interest we want him to pay. And so the thing I would advise you to do is to get it under contract first and take them an actual deal instead of taking them a scenario or taking them a what if or a could be, because they want to know that. And it shows confidence. If you've got the deal under contract, you're saying, look, I'm doing this, right? Somebody's going to finance this. Do you want to do it? Here's why I bought it, because it's a good deal. I bought it for this. This is what we think it's valued at. This is what we plan to do with it or disposition it. This is how long we think it's going to take, right? Show them your whole plan. And when you walk in, that's what you say. And I try to go face to face, man. If you call over the phone, it's different. It's a different conversation if you go face to face. I go to the banks. Like I'll call down there to figure out who the commercial lender is that I need to talk to. Then I go in the bank and I talk to them and I sit down face to face because the conversation and the dynamic is different.
That was a nugget right there.
Yeah, that's dope, man. Okay, I get that. Show up with a contract. And then also, like, what if just randomly, right? So you don't know San Antonio, you don't know this market. We're covering the whole state of Texas. Obviously, we're looking to expand to about like 10 more states now. But what do you do to find local banks? Like, how do you identify them? Like, if you go to San Antonio on Google and you just type in like banks, it's going to give you all the big guys. Like, how do you source the little guys?
It gives you everything, right? So it'll give you the big and the little guys. And so literally that's what I do. I just Google banks in that area and I start filtering out all the big guys. I mean, you'll know the small banks. It's the like first bank of whatever city that is, or third bank of whatever little county that is, or right. Yeah. Those are the ones you want to, or the credit unions, right? The city banks and the Chases and all that stuff, get them out of here. But you'll know the small banks when you see them, and they typically only have like a few branches. And then you can go to their websites and you can see like how much they typically like having deposits or how much they typically lend. That those are, the big banks are in the B's, right? In the billions and billions, right? So you're looking for smaller numbers there.
Okay, yeah, that's a good differentiation, man. Okay, and then one thing I was kind of confused about, or I'm not too sure of, is like the difference between a loan, right? They're going to give you a loan. They're still going to give you like a 30-year M, but you're going to just I know you said you hold stuff, but it sounds like you flip a little bit. So do you got to let them know that you're planning to do a flip, like it's going to be a short-term loan, even though they're going to give you long-term financing?
Yeah, so no, that's not going to be a 30-year AM. So when you call these banks, you want to talk to the commercial lenders, right? Even though you're doing a residential deal, it's the commercial lender you want. You don't want the residential lender, the normal residential lender. The guy doing 30-year fixed rate mortgages for first-time home buyers, that's not the guy you need to talk to. Mm-hmm. You need to talk to the commercial business lending branch or lending person. And you typically want to talk to the VP in that area if you can. So the commercial loans, I'll kind of talk a little bit about the structure first, right? And so these loans are typically 20-year amortized loans, and they're typically about a point or 2 points higher than your traditional loans. So if the traditional loans are at like 3% right now, I'm not sure. Yeah. These loans are going to be at like 4.5, right? 4.5%. They're going to be 20-year amortized. they're going to be on a 3 to 5 year adjustable rate, not a balloon, adjustable rate. So that means after 3 or 5 years, your rate's going to adjust to what the new market rate is at that time, or to be in line with what the new market rate is at that time. But there's typically a cap on how much you can move. So it's like if the interest rates jump crazy, there's a cap on how much your interest rate will move on that loan. So, and then what the banks will loan on these commercial products is typically they will loan 80 to 85% of the purchase price, and they will also loan you 100% of the renovation costs that you need. So for ease of numbers sake, if you're buying a house for $100,000, right, and you need $20,000 to remodel that house, they will lend typically 80 to 85,000, because that's 80 to 85% of the purchase price, and then they'll give you all 20,000 to do the renovation. As long as that total loan amount falls underneath 85% loan to value, then they'll typically do that. And so so they call those commercial construction loans. Some banks call them fix and flip loans. Some banks call them just commercial loans. And some banks call them just construction loans. They all have a little different name for them, but essentially they do the same thing.
Wow, man, that is money. Okay, yeah, that is dope, man. And we've imagined that a long time ago, to leverage unlimited capital from some source, right? Yeah. I'm just trying to figure out what that might look like. If they know we're not going to hold it for a long time, like we just need
they know that, right? These loans are for investors to buy properties as either rentals or flips, right? So they know that that's what you're doing. And so when I literally before this call, I just sent a contract for a house I put under contract yesterday to my bank. And so what I say in the email when I do that is I say, hey, I'm buying 123 Main Street. In this case, I was buying it for $82,000. So I'm buying 123 Main Street for $82,000. I plan to spend up to $35,000 in renovation, and then I give them a quick rundown of what that is. Paint floors, blah 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 blah. Right, and then I say, then we'll sell the house for $180,000. Right, so that's what I told her. So she knew in that email, I'm buying it. I'm going to fix it up. I'm going to sell it, because they are going to want to know whether you're going to rent it or sell it. And then she'll come back to me with the terms. I'll typically run an in-house evaluation, which means instead of sending an appraiser out to the house to do an appraisal, they'll just have a guy in the bank kind of run comps to determine what the appraised value of the house is. And if the appraised value of the house comes back higher than what I'm buying it for and what I need to renovate it, then they're like, yeah, it's a go.
Wow.
Boom.
So you're only in the Arkansas market, so you can leverage the local banks for that reason, right? So if you were to venture outside market, you'd probably find a local bank in that area and do the same thing.
That's right. The first thing I would do is find a local bank. The first thing I would do is ask my banking contacts here if they have friends in the banking world in the market I'm going to go look to, because relationships are the best way to get this business done.
So you do local business with local banks.
That's right.
That's huge.
Facts.
I like that. I think a lot of people, they overcomplicate that stuff, and it's just you don't know. Nobody teaches that, and nobody understands that process. Local business. No, that's cool, man.
And that's just one of the things that they can do, man. You can go to your local banks. They're so flexible, man. Like, what they care about is good deals. So they're really asset-based lenders. Now, they are going to look at your credit. You can't get these loans with terrible credit. But their biggest concern is the deal, not necessarily you. You have to meet their lending criteria, but the deal is the most important. And so, one thing you can do with these small local banks is, if you don't want to use your money, you can also talk about, using what the banks call cross collateralization, right? And so you can if you own an asset already that's got equity in it, right? Everybody knows you can take out a HELOC or like a line of credit on a house, and everybody knows you can refinance a house and pull equity out. But what a lot of people don't know is you can go to small banks, and when you buy a new property, instead of using money for your down payment, you can say, hey, can I collateralize this equity as my down payment? And they call that cross collateralization. So they can just basically say, okay, well, you own this asset that has $50,000 worth of equity in it. You need $15,000 for the down payment for this property. We'll let you use that asset as collateral for the down payment. And so they'll basically let you use the equity in one property as your down payment to buy another.
Dude, that is crazy right there,
and the
man.
snowball effect takes.
Yeah, man. Leverage.
Damn. So what does that look like? Do they put a lien against the property, or how do they set that up on paper?
Yeah, they'll typically put a lien against the property, a second mortgage against it, right, for that amount. Then you go do what you got to do. Buy the new property, flip it, sell it, refinance it, whatever, pull the money back out, pay it off.
Do they take risk in doing like second and thirds on other properties, or are they only like being in second position?
It depends on the bank, man. I think typically second is as far as they want to go, but because after that, then you're really, there's probably not much equity anyway, right? So, but yeah, man, and especially if they did the loan on the property that you have the equity in, it gets a whole lot easier. They're probably not even taking seconds out at that point.
They just like, let's just do the paperwork.
Yeah, right.
How can we get this done?
Right, because we're gonna take the house. We're gonna take all your houses because we got the loans on all of them. So, you foreclose, we're gonna take them all.
Let me ask you this: because usually with us we're trying to speed a transaction. So if we're going to close in 7 days, we need to close in 7 days. What's the speed that they operate in once you have that relationship in place?
Yeah, man. So I tell people, man, you got different banks as different tools in your tool belt, right? And so banks can close fast too, right? The thing that holds banks up is typically the appraisal process. Everything else can be fairly quick, right? The thing that they need to get a deal done is they need loan committee approval. And most banks have loan committee meetings once a week. Some have them twice a week, but it's typically once a week. It's like on a Wednesday or a Thursday traditionally. And then the appraisal process. Those two things take the most time. And those two things are the things that they need to know to get the deal done, right? And so if you have a title company who's willing to move quick and a bank who does in-house appraisals. So when you're calling these banks and you're vetting them to find out if this is a bank you want to use, you want to ask them, do you do in-house appraisals or third-party appraisals? Third-party appraisals means they call, Joe Bob's appraisal. And Joe Bob's 70 years old. He's been doing appraisals in that city for 50 years. And he's all backed up right now because interest rates are low and everybody's doing refinances on their traditional home. And so Joe Bob can't get out there to go do that appraisal for 3 weeks, right? And don't bother him because I can't do it, right?
Might die tomorrow, but he'll be
right,
there.
Right. But if they do in-house appraisals, that just means they got a guy in the bank who runs comps and gives his best guess as to what the after repair value based on the repairs that you told him you're going to do are. Now, the downside to that is typically your in-house appraisals are going to come back lower than your third-party appraisals because they're not as in-depth. But if you're buying good deals, that doesn't matter because you should be well under that amount.
Yeah.
And if they can do in-house appraisals, you take something that takes 3 weeks with Jim Bob and it takes an hour with the guy in the bank. And so I just sent that deal to my bank this evening. Tomorrow morning, she'll text me and say, hey, this is what we think the value of the property is. That's how quick it goes. And
crazy,
then
bro.
and then my title company, I already told them when I sent the contract, I want to close this one as quick as possible. So if I need to close next week, close next week.
Dude, that's right there. That was the biggest takeaway from this whole entire conversation for me. That is stupid, man. I hope people were listening to that. We need to like chop and screw this and bring it back a little bit real quick. That's crazy. So that's where I've been getting my ass.
You need one of the. You need the bomb drop button.
Yeah, dude. Daniel, can you get us a button? Man, seriously, dude, because that's where I've been getting my ass kicked is that the appraisals are taking like 5 to 6 weeks right now. Yeah. Right. So I got people that are ready to close. We got cash in the bank. How soon can we close? I'm like, 2 months from now. So it makes me look stupid. Sometimes you lose your buyers, that kind of stuff. So, man, okay, cool. So 2 things. I'm going to start calling local banks from a Google search. And then I'm going to make sure that they have in-house appraisals. And I'm going to start sending people their way, man. Okay, dope, dude. That's crazy. That's going to set me off in a whole new with a whole new momentum. So I appreciate that.
I just need 10% of each one of those deals you close next month, and then you'll be straight.
Well, send me your wiring instructions.
So what we've been trying to do is we've been trying to bring in our lender, a lender that does in the states we're operating in. That way, if you can sell your property at full price as long as they qualify for lending.
Yeah. Oh, that's dope.
So we're trying to go that angle too, because like once you open up the lending possibilities, you can sell it whatever area you want as long as it makes sense and it makes sense for them to take on that loan and then to write that loan. You can essentially write your own check at that point, and you can recommend the lender. What's cool is one of our software users. He's I guess he has a big fund that they're actually buying table funding closes for land deals. They'll table fund and buy your note at closing. No seasoning required.
Wow.
So I'm like, so now a lot of our people, they're going to like Texas, like, oh, that once they we're like, this is huge if you understand this, and this is why it's huge. It's huge because now you can, instead of selling it to investors or selling it at discount prices, now you can sell it under finance with a down payment and just table fund the deal. And the end note buyer is going to buy it at closing and fund the whole thing.
Right.
So I'm like,
so you get paid immediately at full price offers because you got owner occupied buyers buying them.
Yep. And this is what we're doing with info lots. So like, because we do a lot of land. So like once like we have to like explain how huge that is, because a lot of people, they don't understand notes and they don't understand funding and financing. So we have to go through the whole process. This is what funding and financing is. This is what table funding means, and this is what you can do selling owner finance that you can get paid. And like the light bulb went on, and like, what? I'm doing deals in Texas now. Like people are starting marketing in Texas just for that reason, because now you can possibly make more money, get a bigger spread, keep the down payment that you're selling owner finance, and table fund the whole deal, no matter what contract price you have it at, because that means you can buy it higher too.
Yeah.
Because if you're table funding, you don't have to bring it less money to the table.
That's the huge point I think that people probably miss, is that you've got, you can make tiered offers, right?
Yep.
And so that it gives you another tool in your tool belt for your sellers. It's one less reason for them to go somewhere else. Because you can say, look, I can pay cash at this price, right? I can use bank financing at this price. We can do owner financing at this price, right? Or, you can do your table fund strategy at this price. And so no matter where your person lands, like obviously you try to get it at the cheapest price first, right? But if they're not having it, you can now go up because you have a different disposition strategy to go with that.
Yep. And I'm so excited to like even like let our users experience that and learn and use that, because now you're opening a whole new strategy to sell at a higher price. And like we tell people, we've owner financed a lot of properties. I'm like, when you owner finance, you can oversell it all day long, because now you're selling the price. So if the ARV is 100, you can sell that bitch for 110. Take your $50,000 spread up front, the down payment, and sell it for a full ARV price at the note.
Yeah, man, that's nuts, man. Yeah, man, there's all kinds of, it's crazy. I mean, I got people doing novation type deals too, man. There's craziness out here, man. But people are getting creative on their disposition strategies.
And I like this conversation, because I think it's and this is why, like, I knew what direction we wanted to go with you, because Anthony's trying to do the same thing right now. Because I burned my credit. I personally burned my credit with my last business, so I'm trying to fix my credit right now. Yeah, like, we need more funding. And I'm like, all right, we're gonna bring Henry on and put him on the spot and ask him the hard questions, because we're trying to do this right now. Because
this is brilliant, man. I'm sitting here, I'm chuckling at Anthony's question, because I'm like, this is smart. This is exactly why you should have a podcast,
dude.
You can educate other people, but at the same time, you getting answers to all your most difficult questions.
Dude, I think the reason why we had this conversation is because Andre Hatchett and the Todd Capital Mastermind, and like Charles is really big on like podcasts. And then once I learned the value of podcasting, I really enjoy it, because like you can ask the hard questions. You can bring high level people onto your podcast and ask them all the hard questions you want to know the answers to. and it's
That's
your
right,
opportunity to put them on the spot.
It's a cheat code, man.
It is the cheat code. Towards the end of the call, we usually ask, what is a quote that resonates with you, whether it's yours or somebody else's?
Yeah, man. Imperfect action beats perfect inaction every single time. And I think with new investors, man, they get so hung up on the how. Everybody wants to know every single detail of how they're gonna get from like point A to when I cash my check. That's just not how it works, bro. Like there is a lot of moving pieces, and you don't always get to map all those out and know exactly what's gonna happen from point A to point Z. Like it just doesn't work like that. The people who are successful in this industry are the ones who were willing to get started when all they had to answer to was the first couple of questions, right? And they figured out the rest as they went. Now, did that mean it worked out well every single time? Hell no. But they didn't let them stop, right? It's about winning way more than you lose. And, I get new students that come into my program, and I get people sending me DMs, and they got a million freaking questions about financing and rehabs and how to pick your contractor, and I'm just like, hey, all that's cool, but do you have a deal yet? And they're like, well, nah, I'm trying to get ready so I can get a deal. And I'm like, yeah, all those things don't matter unless you have a deal. So you should just figure that part out. Like step 1 and 2 is how are you going to find deals, and then go find the deal. After that, it's a whole lot easier to get answer to those questions. You think a contractor wants to talk to you about renovating a property you don't own yet?
Yeah, like, oh, let me walk this property and give me an estimate that you don't have on a contract.
Right? You think a title company wants to talk to you about what they can do for you when you ain't got no deal in the contract? No, they don't. They might do it, but they don't want to. Go get
It's like,
a deal, man.
Can you do a title search? I'm about to make an offer.
Right. I don't own anything yet, but I'm gonna. Right. And you may be right. You may have all the confidence in the world and you are going to own something, but people don't give a crap, man. Like, go get the deal. That's where you should start. Learn what good deals look like in your market. Go find good deals. 1, 2. After that, you'll be so motivated to figure the rest out. If you got a deal on the hook that you know you're going to make $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 off of, you don't think you'll go figure out who's going to be your contractor? You don't think you'll go figure out who's going to be your title company? You'll figure that crap out so fast.
So dude, I love that you said that, man.
Yep. Go ahead, Anthony.
I love that you said that, because me having a marketing background, when somebody comes to me for some kind of like mentorship, like I don't have a course. I did record a course and I just never released it, because I'm like, the behavior that I want to incentivize, if you ask me for help, is go get a damn deal and we'll 50-50 it. I'll help you negotiate it. I'll help you fund it. I'll go walk it. I'll jump the barbed wire fence. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah.
Like, go get a deal. Like, if you want me to help you, you bring me a deal. I'll give you all my resources. Call this person, call this person, call this person. If it's not in my market, I know somebody in that market, I'm gonna call them and they're gonna tell me who to call. We'll get it done.
That's it.
I always have that conversation with Coach Simmons, which hopefully we're gonna bring on board as a marketing director for HiveMind. But yeah, he's like, these people need to, like, you need to bring them on board, you need to teach them the game. And I'm like, man, I've never done that in almost a whole year of HiveMind. It's like, if you can't go get a seller on the phone and then bring me in to negotiate, I don't know what you're doing with your life. You know what I mean? Like, oh damn, I don't have much else I could teach you. Right. Step 1 is go get a damn deal.
Go get the deal.
At least go get yourself in the middle of a conversation about one, and then I'll jump in and save you. You know, like, right. Damn, right. That's dope, man. I love the mindset.
So let's kind of go into this. So tell us about your coaching program. How many students do you have? Is it local or is it nationally?
Yeah.
How can people find you? How can they subscribe and all that?
Yeah. So my program is national. I do have a lot of local students, and we've got I've probably got about 50 people in my community, and about 10 to 15 of those are like actual coaching students. So they're like in my weekly coaching program. But yeah, man. So my program is called Rentals to Retirement. And the whole goal is we help you get your first or next rental property within 90 days. We employ heavy heavy marketing tactics to get the leads coming in. And when people join my program, I think they're kind of thrown off at the beginning because all we focus on is finding deals. I teach you how to get good at finding deals. We don't talk a whole lot about anything that comes after getting the deal. I mean, we'll go over some of that stuff, but the main focus is let's get the leads coming in, because it's a funnel, right? You need to get all the leads you can coming in the top of your funnel. And then you analyze those leads, and then you go see those leads, and then you make the offers, and then you get deals coming out the bottom, right? That's it. That's all we focus on. And we help you open up that funnel to get the leads coming in so that you're constantly looking at deals. Because it's like empower. Once you start getting leads and you're constantly looking at deals and making offers, that crap is empowering, because you know that check is coming soon, right? And so that's what we kind of help people focus on. And yeah, man, if you want to apply for my program, Reynolds to Retirement Program, there's a link in my Instagram bio. My Instagram is @thehenrywashington. And I think the web link for it is ClickFunnels or henrywashington.clickfunnels.com/Reynolds to Retirement, if you want to just go straight to the link to apply.
So me and Anthony talk about it a lot because our company is actually lead generation. So we tell people, like, if you put enough marketing out there and you get enough leads, you will literally trip over a deal. You're gonna trip over one. One's gonna fall right in your lap, and you're like, "I got one! I caught it! I caught it!" Like a little kid catching his first fish. They're like, "I caught it!
Tell me about Elizabeth. Tell me about Elizabeth. 3 weeks in.
Oh, Elizabeth. So Elizabeth found Anthony on YouTube. So Anthony has been on YouTube for a little bit. By no means we have the followers you do, but we pride about as much content as possible. So Elizabeth's local to San Antonio, but she found him on YouTube. Just text some random dude on the internet, "Hey, I want to learn real estate." So Anthony took her driving for dollars and taught her how to do virtual driving for dollars. She ended up finding a 100-acre deal using Google Maps from home. And she's like, "I called them and they want to sell. Here's the deal." They hand the phone to Anthony. Anthony calls them. "Yeah, let's do this, this, and this." Anthony negotiated the whole deal. We got partial owner financing with a down payment. So the purchase price is $1,070,000, and with $200,000 down. And then Anthony got a 90-day because it's land, so we usually get it for 90 days or more. So we got a 90-day contract on it. And then Anthony's like, "Hey, we got 30 days left, and we only sold like one lot because we subdivided it on paper. Like, we only sold one lot. What do we do? Like, we got to fundraise $200,000. We've never fundraised money at all." Yeah. And we literally put it in the community, like, "Hey, we need $200K. If you're interested in putting up $200K for this deal, let us know." So somebody's like, one person said, "Call me." So we called that first person and like, "Yeah, we got you." So for our first call, we fundraised $200K. And then those like 10 other comments underneath, like, "Hey, we got money. We got money. We got money." I'm like, man, this is dangerous.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. So you're gonna close on it and then sell it on the market?
Yeah, we actually closed on it in August. We've subdivided and sold on paper. I think it was like 10 lots, and we sold like 7 already. And we have people putting contracts on it. So hopefully it should be all properties should be under contract by the end of the year. And then of course the time to close, because we're now introducing them to land financiers that will actually help fund the deal for us. So it takes a little longer for them to get financing, but hopefully we'll finish it by January. And we're looking to make $700K, and we're paying our user $100K on our first deal.
Jeez, man. There's money out here on this internet, man. You just got to do the work.
Yeah, D'Angelo Westfield right now, he's working on a $100,000 deal. So that's kind of like our claim to fame, is we want to teach people how to make $100K on a single transaction.
That's amazing, man.
So the thing about Elizabeth, she just quit her job. She just quit her job now. She's done a couple other deals while we're working on this one, so this was a bigger one. And she just quit her job last week.
That's amazing.
Because she worked at a call center. So it's crazy, man. There's so many good things happening, and I love changing. The power of people changes people's lives. It's unfathomable what comes with that. and making a difference.
Yes, sir.
So like
Absolutely.
me and Anthony, we're really big on minorities. Like we want to help minorities because like you even said it earlier, is like we weren't taught about financial statements. We weren't taught about the importance of credit.
Right.
We weren't taught about a lot of this stuff that banks want. So
Yeah, I meant to
now
squeeze that in.
We're intimidated by not even misinformation, it's no information. We're
Lack of,
intimidated by
right? Yeah.
not knowing, lack of it. Exactly. So that's one thing me and Anthony really want to do, is like we want to help more business owners, especially minority business owners, accelerate their business and have 6-figure months. We already had I think 4 users have minorities own property too. So it's just
That's super dope.
it's
Man.
kind of interesting. It's kind of interesting, man. It's very great, crazy what's going on and what's happening. And it's just like it all comes down to like educating and empowering our people.
Yeah, 100%, man. I tell people, after I did my first deal and I saw how crazy powerful it was, because I didn't have no money.
Yep.
I only had $1,000. I had to get super creative. So we used my wife's 401k to find the rest of the down payment. I bought that house. And then the bank let me take out a line of credit on the equity of the house that I just bought. And they were like, well, here, we'll give you 30 grand to go buy your next one. And dude, not 90 days before that, I was having a panic attack because I was like, I don't know how I'm going to have enough money to take care of my family. 90 days later, I buy a house without using any of my money. And then the bank's like, well, here's 30 grand, bro. Like, do you understand how insane that is? Like,
Yeah.
I don't know how I'm going to have money. And then the bank's like, well, here's 30 grand. I was like, that's when I knew. I was like, I got to share this information with people because nobody told me about it. I had to go figure all this stuff out. And it's super powerful. Like, more people need to know. And so that's the whole point. That's why my Instagram is what it is, because I just wanted to give information away for free.
That is dope, man. You freaking,
Yeah.
you enlightened me to something I've never heard of today. And then I want to say something on a podcast that I've never said before, talking about like brown people not having, that background or that financial literacy since we were kids. My dad, great guy, amazing guy, one of my best friends. Of course, we had our hardships growing up, right? When a kid thinks he's smarter and cooler than his dad. But my dad has never filed taxes before in his life.
What?
Dude, so talk about starting from the bottom, bro. So like everything, like just having conversations with people like you, putting yourself in the right circles, it's just like, man, you got to learn one way or another. And if you're afraid to put yourself into those circles and have those conversations, then it's hard to grow. So yeah, I just wanted to share 100%.
That. That's amazing, man. Changing family trees out here, man.
Dude, now the stuff my kids are learning, man. I was with my son at the beach, and I never pushed real estate on them. I've never had a conversation about money, like nothing. They hear me talking about marketing. They know I'm obsessed with it. But I'm at the beach with my son, and he's just like having a little moment. He just asked me a question. He's like, Dad, if people can make that much money on one real estate deal, why do they make all year? Why do they work all year to make that kind of money? I'm like, I don't know, son. I don't have an answer. And then we're at the beach, and we're just all quiet. It's dark. We have a bonfire going at the beach, and he goes, hey, Dad, you want to walk down the beach and talk about real estate? I was like, son, I've been waiting for you to ask me that your whole life. My 11-year-old son is like, do you want to walk on the beach and talk about real estate? I said, holy
damn
crap.
Right I do, son.
Dude, and he had about 100 questions. We've never had a real estate conversation ever. And he just had questions back to back to back.
I bet you were glowing after that conversation.
Elated, bro. Like, energy was flowing through my body, man. And he was like, the light bulb came on. So now he has Deal Machine on his phone. He has Landglide on his phone. Like, he's sending me properties now. Yeah, like, oh, shoot. He's going to do his first deal before he turns 13.
That's amazing, man.
I want to ask a question because I don't know if anybody's ever asked you this, but what is the impact and future you could bring by the content and information you're putting out now? What is your goal as far as impacting lives?
Yeah, man, I didn't know. I didn't know kind of what the only goal I knew I had was I need to share this with people. And that's what I put out there. And like measuring impact is hard to do. And so I don't necessarily have a goal for like how I'm going to impact people. I just know that no matter where this takes me, like I don't want to sound douchey. It's hard. It's hard to talk about yourself in kind of in these terms and not sound like a giant douchebag. So forgive me, but like, I don't know how big this will get or how big I'll get, right? I always want to have a way to give people information very inexpensively or freely, because my community, right, of people who look like me aren't always going to be in a place to spend high ticket for financial information. Now, don't get me wrong, there is plenty of people who want to and are willing to spend high ticket money for mentorship and for someone to kind of help bring them along their path. But not everybody's in that position. And I don't want to price people out who aren't in that position by not having a product or a service for them, right? And so I'm always going to have something very low ticket. I get, people tell me all the time, man, your courses are too inexpensive, they're too cheap. And I get that. I get, from a course creator standpoint, I understand why they say that, right? You need to value your content more. People value content if you value it. And all of that is true. But I don't have, those low ticket courses aren't out there for me to make money on. They're out there to help my community. I don't want somebody who has to go to work working with his hands and his back all week to make $2,000 a month to worry about giving me half of that for information to change his life. So I always want to have something for those people.
Man, I love that. We resonate on the same frequency with that, because for us, we're like, we'd rather drive affordability and making sure our people have the right tools and resources to make sure they can make as much money as possible. And we want to make sure we provide as much information as possible, as freely or as cheaply as possible. That makes sense. But the biggest impact is not necessarily the money, it's the impact on people's lives.
Right, man. And it's cool to just get DMs from people who never bought a course from me, who never joined a mentorship program, who just follow me on Instagram, and they say, hey man, I've been following you for a year, and because of your information, I bought my first property, and things are forever different. Like, that's freaking cool, man.
You can sleep at night.
Yeah, man, that's super dope, man.
That's a good feeling, man. You're freaking crushing it, bro. I'm glad that you carved out a piece of your day to hang out with us. It means a lot. We really do value people's time, more than anything else, dude. So, in closing, I got a question, man. If you had to give like a one sentence piece of advice to somebody who was brand new, what would that be?
Yeah, man, we hit on it. I tell people this all the time, man. It's we joked about it earlier, but real estate is super flexible, right? You guys talked about land deals. You talked about table funding, right? I talked about small bank financing. I talked about cross collateralization. We talked about rentals, flips, and wholesales. Like, there's all these ways to get a bag in real estate, and that's super cool. But when you're new, that's also super overwhelming, right? Like, because you don't know where to focus. Like, you don't know what to go learn, right? And what I tell people is exactly what we talked about. Filter out all that noise, because there is one common denominator that you need for any of that crap to work, and you need a good deal. If you're not buying a good deal, your disposition strategies don't exist. So just don't worry about anything. Literally, turn everything else off. Figure out, what does a good deal look like in the market I want to go buy deals in? Then figure out how you're going to go find those deals. For me, it was mail. For you guys, it's SEO, right? Like, you figured out, based on what I have to spend, what tools I have in my tool belt, whether it be, technology or just being a people person, right? You've got your finances, you've got your tools, you've got your personality. Those things, whatever deal finding strategy fits those things the best, that's what you should focus on, right? So you don't have to go figure out how to do text messages and ringless voicemails and cold calls and direct mail. Just figure out, which one can I afford to fund properly? Which one will I know I'll stick to? A lot of people say cold calling works, I'm gonna make cold calls. But if you don't like getting cursed out and you're not gonna call 100 people like you need to a day to get a deal, don't cold call. Don't lie to yourself. It doesn't fit your personality, right? So I pick mail because I don't mind getting cursed out from the few people that call and that are upset, and everybody else wants me to buy their house. So I like mail, and I can fund mail appropriately, and I know it works, and so that's what I stick to. Right. So go learn what a good deal looks like. And the best way to do that is get around people buying deals in that market. Go to every investor meetup, meeting, club, Facebook group, Craigslist group, meetup.com group. If an investors are gathering in your market, get your butt in the room. And then just go talk to somebody. Just go ask somebody, hey man, what'd your last deal look like? How much did you pay for it? How much did you put into it? What'd you sell it for? Man, we love talking about how much money we made and how many deals we did. Investors will give you all that. They'll tell you everything, right? And at the same time, you'll be building a relationship. So people love talking about themselves. So now you've gleaned all this information about what good deals look like in that market, and you've made a friend of somebody who's being active in that market. Both of those things are valuable. Now you know what good deals look like. Now you know how you're gonna go find those deals. Go find the deal, man. Everything else will come into place.
Boom. 70 doors, 4 years, go find a damn deal. I love that you said that, man. You said just ask questions. I noticed that's one thing that I guess I felt like I accelerated pretty quick in real estate. Is because I'm like a little kid in a lot of ways. So when I get around somebody that has information that I want to know, I'm just like question until they're like worn out.
Yeah,
And
right.
I'm not embarrassed, man. It doesn't make me feel stupid. Like I got a very short amount of time to extract a certain amount of information. So I got like 400 questions to ask, man. So that's dope. I appreciate you saying that. And I bet you're the kind of guy that shares, man, the same way you shared your time with us, man. So super, super dope.
Love it, man.
Yeah, we do appreciate your
This was fun.
time, and we do appreciate the impact you're making to the community when it comes down to it. So we appreciate everything, man. And thanks for coming on, man.
Hey, man.